that crisis is unfolding in Bangladesh. What has happened is that Sheikh Hasina has fled the country. She's resigned and fled the country, and for the time being, the army has taken over to form the interim government. Now, this is probably the second bastion that we have lost in the last few years. One of them would be Maldives, which was actually running an India Out campaign by the current President Mizu. But this is again a very close ally. Especially this political leader was a very close ally to India, and she has been in power for a number of years. For last 15 years, she was there in power since 2008, 2009. I think she's been there in power, and in this period, the economic development in Bangladesh has been significant, and India-Bangladesh ties have significantly improved because earlier Bangladesh used to host a lot of anti-India elements. So these anti-India elements either used to have a safe haven in Myanmar or in Bangladesh, but with the coming of Sheikh Hasina, there was a huge crackdown on any of these Indian entities, and they were not just prosecuted; they were also transferred back to India. Apart from that, the trade relationship with India increased, and we have good port connectivity. And you should know that India shares its highest border with Bangladesh. That's the largest border we share, and Bangladesh has only India as the neighboring country, and then it does have a very small border with Myanmar, but that's very limited. So we are its main border country. Now, with this kind of background, what is important is that, and we'll see a number of articles on this. One of the things that we should also be aware of, and this is there in the editorial, that when we are engaging with a country, we should not only engage with one political leader. We should not just put all our eggs in one basket in one leader, because that is what happens. We've probably learned that with Maldives as well, that when we try to interfere, or when we try to choose winners and losers in a political battle of a different country, then the end result is that we will lose, I mean, badly, when once the opposition comes to power, as in case with Maldives. And here as well, we have had a very good relationship with Sheikh Hasina and Awami League, but we have not had such a good, probably we've not had such a good bonhomie with the Jamiat Islami, which is the main opposition party that is there. The Also, we've had a very kind of a romanticism with 1971, because we kind of claim that from being East Pakistan, we were the ones which facilitated the independence of Bangladesh, and it becoming a freshly minted country, where we supported Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Now, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was also the father of Sheikh Hasina. After 1971, in 1975, I think, their entire family was killed. The father, wife, and sons, and then some were left because they were not in Bangladesh. They were educating themselves outside, and then Sheikh Hasina came to power after coming back. So this is what we've seen, and we cannot be, as I've told you, we cannot be seen as choosing choosing players, and then we should engage in all kinds of political activity. Whosoever comes to power, we should engage with them, just like the way that we have done with Bangladesh now. Bangladesh, this thing your president was also there for the swearing in of the prime minister as well. So this is the kind of maturity that, irrespective, we should respect what the country says. It's an independent country, it's a sovereign country. We will respect its sovereignty, but at the same point of time, without choosing winners and losers, we will engage with all particular parties. So this should be the template of political relationship. With Bangladesh, as I told you, we have a very strong trade relationship, we have a very strong people to people connectivity, we have very strong economic relationship. And the last thing is that it gives you a kind of also a template that if I mean you cannot I mean whitewash economic progress with civil ill liberties. So this is the format which was followed by Sheikh Hasina, where she used to maintain that economically we are doing well, and it was till COVID hit. After COVID, they saw these problems coming to its garment sector and to its exports. But before that, it used to boast that we've done a lot of development. And while development was there, they also cracked down on civil liberties through a number of legislations, and crackdowns on student protests as well. So something similar, which India can also learn, that economic progress cannot mask other civil illiberties. So this is about the entire thing. The five challenges of all of this, the five challenges that are there in this particular article are the most important. The first challenge is, can India stand by its friends? The Indian establishment has certainly ensured that whatever happens, we will be there. So she was received first in Assam, and then the airport in Delhi, and now she's preparing to fly to Dhaka. So this is first thing. Then the second thing is, where is it? Five challenges. Then the second challenge is that standing by friends in thick and thin is the second challenge. Then another is that in the last decade, she's as I told you, our bilateral relationship has improved a lot, but at the same point of time, she's turned very authoritarianism, and this was also highlighted by the Biden administration, but we had miffed this away. So something that we need to do. And a very good line that I like from this particular article is that one hopes that the government agencies were little smarter than the public argument, but the monochromatic discourse on foreign policy with very little questioning of assumptions underlying it inevitably comes back to bite Delhi. So therefore, if there are problems in a particular country, we can't just keep supporting it. We have to engage with all partners. So and the third thing is that yes, Pakistan and China would definitely like to buy into this particular opportunity, and set its base there, just like China has done with case of number of other countries. And as I told you, Delhi must stop romanticizing with 1971 liberation. And finally, Indian debates of on the neighborhood of self-referential Indian policy discourse must recognize developments in the neighborhood are not just about Indian resolve, goodwill, or strategy. They have their own discourse and their own way. So a very very good article. Then another article that I want you to read is SIT report on MP tiger deaths. Please read this news, and why tigers are dying. Then coming to the other important news of the day. The other important news of the day is that the markets have crashed in US, Japan, and in fact all of the world, including India. The markets crashed by around 2200 points, and even the Nifty fell by around 2.7%. So why is that the markets have fallen down? Now there are a number of reasons for this, 3 4 major reasons. The first reason is that in US, the Federal Reserve has said, if you remember last week I told you that the Federal Reserve has said that we are going to go for a policy decline in September. They're giving signals that yes, inflation is coming under control. And I also told you that that if the unemployment increases, that shows that they can actually reduce the interest rates. Now what has happened is that the numbers for the job market has come up in US. on Friday, and these numbers show that the number of new jobs that have been created are less, which shows a recessionary kind of a thing, and the unemployment has increased to 4.3%. So inflation is going down, but the unemployment and this thing is increasing. So the other part of the problem is now increasing. So that's why US is basically kind of going down. And then in Japan, what has happened is that the rate of interest has been increased by the authorities because of the continuous decline of yen against dollar. So they have increased the rate of interest so that more funds can come to yen, and their currency can appreciate. But what has happened is that because of this, there used to be a lot of carry trade on yen. Now, what is this carry trade on yen? Now, earlier the rate of interest was very low in yen, around 0.5%, if I remember correctly, or even less than 0.5%. Now, people used to borrow, investor used to borrow in yen at very low interest, and then convert these currencies into high interest rate currencies. For example, the US dollar, they can convert yen, they can borrow in yen, convert it into dollar, and then invest in high yielding assets. So invest in stock market, invest in bonds, or invest in Indian bonds, for example. So you borrow from this thing, Japan, you convert it into dollars, you use those dollars to invest in the Indian stock market, and then earn the differentiate between what the return that you are getting on your foreign asset versus what you have to pay as interest rate in Japan. Now, because the interest rates in Japan has increased, and because now the exchange rate is also going to be higher for dollar and yen, these are risks that you are going to bear. And because of this, people have started to winding off these yen carry trades, and therefore the markets have fallen significantly in Japan, in US, and in India as well. So this has brought volatility, and these are the reasons. Apart from that, there is a wonderful article that we are going to read. In fact, I'm going to go through that particular article. Okay, from the first page, please read: SC rejects AAP government plea, LG can nominate alderman to MCDs. People from Delhi should know what alderman is. Then let me go to that news. So this is a wonderful article, folks. This basically article says the same thing, that initially it says that the markets have fallen down, and then it explains that why there has been so much of exuberance over the market. In fact, you should be aware that I taught you in the economic survey. I think I taught you in the economic survey as well, that the economic survey is also talking about that the markets are behaving irrationally. The amount of volatility and the amount of investment that we are seeing in the domestic market is huge, and everyone after COVID has started entering the domestic market, and started playing options and futures as well. In fact, I clearly remember there are a couple of boys, maybe even younger than you guys, and they have no idea about finance, and no idea about economics, and first year, second year students, and they've been heavily investing in futures and options. uh, now the issue is that this is like a gambling that people are doing, and they're riding this bull run that has been running for the last 4 years. Now, what is this bull run? That the stock markets has continuously been increasing in the last 4 years, and this has been fueled by domestic players, and the fact that our savings from the top 5% of the country is now channelizing into the stock markets. But what that has done is that the price to earning ratio. Now, what is this price to earning ratio? Now, what you do is that what is the share price of a particular stock? Say the share price of a stock is say 100 rupees, and the earnings per share is basically how much that if you had invested in that particular company, how much dividend did it give, how much profit did it give, and how much income did you get. So if you are say your market price of the share is 100 rupees, and you are getting 10 rupees as the earning per share, that means 100 upon 10 is the price to earnings ratio. Now, this is also called PE ratio. Now, PE ratio, if it's very high, like in India's case, in some of the industries it's around 60%, 50%, which show, and they have given examples of Asian Paints, Whirlpool, HUL, where companies are saying that, boss, I don't know, we are not able to earn so much of profit, we are not able to sell so much of paint or so much of machines and on so much of say products, but at the same point of time our stock prices have just surged 50 times, 60 times, our stock prices have surged 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, because people are investing on the basis of liquidity and the basis of convenient and the basis of exuberance, that they feel that the Indian economy will do well. So based on these parameters, people are investing money, and if that is the story, then some at some point of time there has to be reconciliation between what is on the ground and what the financial asset that you have created. So if the financial valuation is too far off from the real valuation, that is called as creation of a bubble. So these bubbles that have been made will burst sometime, and maybe this is the start of that bubble burst as well. So this is the entire news. The way of the market, the fear of missing out, and greed are behind irrational irrelevance, irrational investor exuberance. Then I've already explained you fall and correct, and I've already explained you this particular article which talks about that we need to have a relationship with all particular parties, not try to only be in this pro Hasina brush. We should allow our economic interest to assert itself, and rely on people to people relationships and cultural affinities, rather than having a negative political sentiment being stoked against us, as in case with Myanmar. So good article, please read it, and you'll be able to understand it. Then Exit Hasina is also a very similar article, which tells the background. Now I did not discuss this background with you. Let me discuss this background as well. Now what had happened in case of Bangladesh was that in June the government had extended reservations for people of reservations in jobs, in government jobs, for people who had participated and the descendants of people who had participated in the independence war. So this was basically favoring a lot of people who are in the Awami party. So the ruling dispensation people will get jobs easily through reservation. Now because of this there were protests in universities and colleges, because again 60-70% of the population of Bangladesh is young, and therefore they are also wanting government jobs, and therefore there were protests. Although and the way that Sheikh Hasina had dealt with these protests was through internet shutdowns, and calling all these people who are protesting, and students, all these protesting, as Razakars. Read about whose Razakars are, and there were shoot on sight orders as well, which led to killing of allegedly around 300 people, but the official figure is somewhere around 100 people, including some policemen as well. So this is the background with which all of this has taken place. And in fact the court of Bangladesh has recently refused that there will be no reservation, but still the anger did not die down. Then Born to Dance, please read about Yamini Krishnamurthy's life, and then how in 1950s, 60s and 70s, in fact 60s, 70s and 80s, she transformed the dancing arena through her dances of both Bharatnatyam, Kuchipudi, Odissi. You should know all classical dances, everything with respect to classical dances you should know, and then you should also know proponents of these classical dances as well. So this basically talks about, this article talks about that how she learned poetry first, and from poetry she went into dancing, and then she set the stage on fire, and brought Indian, and she was the champion of Indian culture and culture outreach throughout the world, because she participated and represented India throughout the world. And she was also held the title of Astana Narkati, which basically means the resident dancer of the Tirupati temple. So read about her story, important personality. Then the other thing is partners in food security. India and Africa can learn from global events and overcome for nutritional challenges. Now, this is with respect to the 32nd International Conference on Agricultural Economists, which was held from which is still being held from 2nd to 7th of August. And in fact, the honorable Prime Minister had attended this. And the last time that we held was in 1958 in Mysore. Now, the fact is that India and African nations are the agriculture relationship is such that we need to learn from each other, especially agriculture, especially African nations, because they have not been able to overcome these shortages, nutritional outcomes, and all these challenges. Now, on India's part, India has been a major champion of global South, and nothing better could be the example when than the G20, because we are the ones who converted G20 into G21 with the inclusion of African Union as the permanent member of G20. And then apart from that, we have number of comparisons of agriculture. uh, Indian states have shown very good levels of development, and that can be replicated by African nation. But at the same point of time, if a country has a high debt to GDP ratio, then the investment in agriculture, social production is limited. The other thing is that both India and African nation needs to invest more in child malnutrition, productivity enhancing, R&D. In R&D, if you remember, agriculture R&D expenditure is only 0.5% of our agri GDP, and extension services, all of this needs to be done. And then we need to reform our subsidies, convert our subsidies into investments, so, and infrastructure, rather than spending more on subsidies. And this is the way that we can pull people out of poverty. In fact, we are going to do a news on the economics page, where we are going to talk about the state of rural employment in India, and whereby we will see that 70% of unemployed youth in the rural area are saying that we don't want to do agriculture because it's not rewarding. And it's not going to be rewarding us unless we invest in the agricultural investment, in agriculture infrastructure, and the entire paraphernalia of agriculture. So this is the article, how we can have South-South cooperation on a vibrant mode to achieve food and nutritional security and address these challenges which India and these countries are going to face, especially in the face of climate change. And both these regions combined together have 3 billion people, which is almost around 37-38% of the world's population. Then why Hasina had to flee? We have already talked about this particular article. If you want to read this article in Britain, a riot system, you can read that. Now, in fact, you should read that article. If you want to read any of these, you can read. Iran and Hezbollah can attack Israel in the next 24 to 48 hours. Another reason why the markets could again go down. This is what I was talking about, that we should study if welfare schemes are discouraging youth from seeking employment. Now, what we are doing is that when we are designing these schemes, we should not design schemes in such a way that it should give incentives to youth not to join the jobs and then to enjoy. For example, a couple of countries in the recent past have tested in US a couple of states have tried universal basic income. And because of universal basic income, what we have seen is that the unemployment in the country has increased. In fact, people who are from economics optional, when I'm going to teach you Blanchard, this particular topic from Blanchard, I'm going to give you this example, so take a note of this. So when we talk about the unemployment, so unemployment had increased because of the social security measures that we have had. And the economic advisor basically says that we should have eligibility conditions with sunset clause and sunset terminal dates, after which these schemes will not be available to them. So these are the ways that you should have. And up to 85% of employed youth in rural areas seek to change jobs, and 70% of those who are unemployed are saying that they don't want to work in the agricultural sector. So that is the problem of India's agricultural sector. and that is across both males and females. So read about this. Then rupee plunges. If you want to read, please read about rupee plunges by a huge amount. And explained page, a very very I mean it is the perfect photo finish of how the US Noah Lyles had won the 100-meter race. And you can see in both cases, so the and this is something that was new to me as well, that you have to have your torso cross, not your foot to be crossed. So that is the rule. And it was the case that both these I mean the racers had the same time, but at the same point of time, who had crossed whose torso had crossed first is, if you can see, this particular individual who's an American, and the other is that Jamaican. And if you see it from the other angle, it is so beautiful. See this. By the way, Lakshya Sen had recently lost his badminton fee. See, he is crossing first, but the torso of this particular individual is there. So you can read about this, how Noah Lyles has just beaten Jamaica's Christian Thompson by 5,000th of a second to win the gold. So and you can see both these are same timings. And the world record, of course, stands to your Usain Bolt in I think the last Olympics, which was 9.69 seconds. So this is about it, folks. That's about it from my side. You can start off with your day, and I will see you in the class, folks, sometime this week. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow. All right.